file handling, and we'll see how the file handling works. What are the use case for file handling? Okay, and it's very important. So 1 second. Yeah. So last class we discussed about exceptions, right? Detailed exceptions, different type of exceptions, that is checked and unchecked exceptions, right? We have discussed about throw keyword and then throws keyword and then try, catch, finally. So we have seen. So today we are going to start with the different topic, that is file handling. So what is this file handling? So why we need this? So file handling is one of the way we deal use for reading and writing the files. Basically, we have a concept of testing, right? In testing, we have a test data. So you need a data to test, right? To test the data, so you need to have the supply of data. So from where you can get the data? You can get the data from the file. You can store it in a file and you can pass it in your test case. That is one of the way we are going to do. To achieve that, we need to know file handling. Another one, we are also going to learn about fake data generator. So where the old approach is generating, storing in a file and using it, but still it is, I don't say old, but still companies and things followed with that way. And now there are some other alternative APIs which has been introduced, which will help us in generating the data dynamically. Okay, so let us learn how do we achieve that using the APIs. Okay, let us see how we are going to do that. So let me create a new class and then I will show. So today first we'll write a agenda. So in this we are going to learn about reading and write, especially reading. We don't write to the file. Basically we read from the file. So we learn dot text file. Then we read dot properties, how to read data from this, and then dot ini. Okay, dot excel sx. And then if we get faker library. Okay, these are things we are going to learn. Once this is completed, then we are going to learn about arrays, list, set, map. So these are the next concept, last concept of Java we are going to learn. So this is the two pending topics present in the Java. Once this is done, so we are going to jump straight away into Selenium for Selenium, and people who are for mobile automation. So they will have a different timing and different group will be created. So you'll be jumping there. So this is how it will be. So till here it is common. So next topic is common, like test engine we are going to learn. Post that we are going to move to the respective groups. Like we'll have a mobile testing will be separate and web will be separate. And people have opted for mobile web API. So after Selenium, you will have a separate timings and separate things will be done for you guys. Okay. So now let us see how we are going to start with the reading. So for that, we are going to use an inbuilt libraries, whatever we have in Selenium. We are going to use that to generate a file and we are going to read from the files also. So Java has a couple of libraries which can be used. So otherwise, we also have external libraries that also we are going to use. For example, text file. Text file we can use with plain Java only. We don't need to add any external library for that. But properties also we can do. But when it comes to INI, Java alone cannot handle that. So we need a third-party library to read and write in case you want to write. So next comes XLS. This also we cannot directly read. We need a third-party support, that is from POI library, that is Apache POI. So Apache is one of the very important community in the software world. So they create a open source libraries especially. So that libraries we are going to use to handle the XLSX files. Then comes Faker library. This is also one of the library called Java Faker. So that is an open source API, which is very useful for the test data generation. So this is the best compared to all of them. Okay, but still we need to know this because I can say 80 to 90% still they are relying on this as they are not aware about this functionality. So once they get to know, then the people start migrating. This is very useful. Okay, let us see how we are going to apply all these things in our exam, in our scenarios. So now first let us start with the file. So to deal with the file, we have a library called IO, input and output. Input and output library we are going to use now to read and write. And then how this reading and writing happens. So there are two different classes are there. One is called a file input stream. Another one is called file, buffered writer. Or see, I'll just write it down. So let me write here. File input stream. Okay, this is to read a file. Okay, similarly, another class is there, buffered reader. So this is also to read a file. Then what is the difference? Why we have two files, two different classes? These are two different built-in classes. So advantage with the buffer reader is this is fast. How? So for example, I have a file where Arvind, I have a text Arvind in the file. If I want to read, it will read and give me output also is Arvind. If you go with this buffer reader. If in case I have a Arvind, if I want to use a buffer file input stream, so Arvind will be converted into zeros and ones, binaries, and then it will be converted into Arvind. Got it? So this process will happen in the file input stream. In the buffer reader, so it will directly read as a form of string. Here it will convert and it will come back. So when you have a huge data, then it takes really good time. Okay, so that is the reason we have a two different files. I will show with example. Okay, but you will not notice that speed, latency and all, but that's how internally functions. Okay, this is for reading, to read something. So you want to write, then you have a file output stream. Out. This is to write. Similarly, I have buffered writer. So write. Okay. So this is the thing. Okay. So this is the two different classes we are going to use now. So then this is for reading the properties and the text and INI. All you need this. So along with this, we will be using a third party for these two. Okay, some third party libraries we are going to use. So now let us see how we are going to start. So let me create a new class. So I'll just create a file. So create file. So we can also create a file programmatically. So we know, right, if you want to create a file, what we generally do, right click, and then we go to new, and here you have an option to create a file. So that is manually we are doing it. In case you want to automatically create, that is possible. So let me create one folder. I'll give a name as like test data, some name you can give. I'm just giving as a test data. This is an empty directory. So I need to create a file inside this folder. How will I do that? So for this, I need to make you understand about the path. So there are two type of path, guys. One is relative path, another one is absolute path. What is relative path? In the relative path, so you don't need to give the full. For example, first we'll understand the absolute path. So if in case I want to create a file inside this folder, so I just need to go to copy path. So if you click on a copy path and I will store here. So this big it is. See, can you see how big it is? And the problem here comes is like this code works only on my laptop. The reason is it is my personal path, right? User, my name and my folder name and all. It's absolutely mine. So the same project, if you are using, so from here it is everything is common. The first three, four, this will be different. So if in case you are using Windows, it might be C, D, E, F, G folder and your name and all. Then this project name will remain same because you are going to pull it from the Git, right? So this structure will remain same where whoever uses it. But the first this will change. Every system will have its own path, right? So in real time, what happens? We will be working in a group of people. Will not be individuals. So generally what happens, you have to follow the standards while writing code. You cannot use this absolute path. Okay, we should always use a relative path. How it is written. So if you want to use a relative path, so programmatically we can get this address. So how do we get that? So for that, so let me write. Guys, I'll be back in a minute. Okay. So now let us see the path. How do we write the create a path? So now, so okay. So now let me show you programmatically how we can get. First, we will see how to get this much. Okay. So mainly this part will change dynamically. It will change for each and every laptop. So this will remain constant. Okay. So now we'll try to get the first part. So how do we do that? So I'll write string path is equal to system.getProperty user.dir. Okay, user.dir. So when you write this code, user.dir, anybody's system, so it will automatically give you the path. So for example, system.out.println path. Okay, if I write this, so now we should get the path. See, you're getting the path. Can you see here? So what we are getting, user, Arvind, document, automation, this Java batch till here. This is a root path we call it. So we are getting till here. See, automatically, if you try to run on your system, you will get your system name, your path, everything. Okay. Then comes the test data. Test data is a folder which is inside our project. So like this, we can. And how do we get programmatically here? So then you need to append it. So just write plus, and you again this slash is there, right? This slash, each and every operating system differs. If it is Windows, it is backward. If it is Mac, it is forward. Linux, forward, like this. So then again, it is a challenge. If you have this concept complication, then it will be difficult. So what we can do now? So we will be using file dot separator. File separator plus we need to give the folder name, that is test data. So when you give this, so now you'd see exact path will be created. See, exact match. So what is this file separator does? It takes care of the slash. Okay. So if it is a Windows, it will put backward. If it is Mac, it puts forward. So like this, the exact path is ready now. So now in this path, we need to create a file. So what is a file? We'll give a file name here. So we should again give a file separator. I'll just give us student students dot text. Dot txt is a extension. So I want to create a file with this name. Okay. So now I'll just run. It will not create any file with now. Okay. Got it. So, but just path is ready for that. Okay. So let me do one thing. Oh, sorry, I was talking on mute. So now we will create a file. So how do we create a file? So for that, we are going to use a class called file. There's a class, built-in class called file. Okay, file is equal to new file. So file is a class, see, automatically imported. So when you write first time, see, you will get the red color like this. So you have to mouse over, import the class. So once you import it, now why I'm giving here, this is a path where I need to create a file. Okay, file is equal to new file. This is a class, built-in class, and this is a path where it has to do anything. So now to create a file, this file class is having a method called create new file. Okay, if you call this method, automatically it will create a file. So now why we're getting an error here? This is an example of checked exception. Okay, yesterday we saw right exceptions. In that, this is one unchecked we saw. This is a checked exception. So what happens whenever you write a code, if it is not handled, you will get this exception, red color line. If you mouse over, it says add exception to the method signature. So this type of exception can be handled two ways. Checked exception can be handled two ways. One, by adding the exception to the method signature. So when I click on it, you observe throws keyword and exception it has declared here. This is one way. So another way is putting the entire thing into a try catch. So let me put this into a try catch now. So try and open this and put that into a catch and write the catch block and call the same exception here, e dot print status. Then you might get a question. So what is the difference putting here and writing this way? What is the difference it makes? So one thing, when you put it in a method signature, right, it is just a informing. It is informing that it can throw an exception. But when you put an exception into a try catch, then it will catch the exception. It will not make your test to fail. It will hold the failure because of some reason. If anything happens, it will still continues your execution. That we have seen in the previous examples also. Okay, so that will handle what type of exception you get. That is IO exception, input and output exception. Okay, so if I run this now, so immediately the test folder is empty now. As of now, if I run this, see what happens. Can you see a folder is created with the students.txt? Within a fraction of a second, it got created now. So if you open, it is a blank. Nothing is there inside this. So now what we do, we need to store the data. So let us write the names like so Karthik. I'll just add some names, okay? So like this, we have a different names. So these names we are going to read from the file. So how do we read the file? So to read the file, so we learned how to create a file now. So and we can also create a logic here. If the file is already created, okay. So if the file is already created, so we don't need to create. So for that, we can write a condition like this. If file exist. This exist is a method from the file class. If file is exist, you say system.out.println file found. Okay, file found. Else, okay, we can also write here plus file.is exist, so that it will return boolean value exist. Sorry, just exist. It will return true or false. If file is exist, true. Else, you create a new file. Else it will go and create a new file. See, this is how we apply our if else condition also here, right? If the file is there, don't create. Else create a new file. So already in our case, file is there. So if I run this, it will not create a new file again. See, it says file is found, true. It is there. So it didn't create. If in case if I delete this, it will create a new file. If I change the name now, I'll just make student one. So when I run this now, the student one file is not there, only students is there. So students one is not present. So if I run this now, so it will create that file. See here, students one is created. Clear, guys? Any question? Right? So you got the now it just created, right? So like this we can do. Now we will learn how to read this value. To read this value, so we are going to use some methods. So class, now we'll use a different class. Now we'll create a read.
Arvind sir, one question here. In that particular program which you went in, yeah, create file. File dot separator is used for what is the purpose of file dot separator?
Slash to manage the slash programmatically.
Okay, but we are also creating a file here, right? In test file dot separator student one dot txt, which we have given. So it will create after the user directory test data. In test data, it is creating.
Right.
Okay, so after that, it'll be creating the file. All right. So instead of giving this, we can directly give user directory, and we can directly give file dot separator plus student dot txt. It will not create.
No, we need to give the root path.
Root path we have already given, right, sir? User dot
This is a
directory.
root path, yeah. Huh.
So after that, we have given file dot separator plus test
Huh.
data.
Correct.
Instead of that, directly we cannot give students one dot txt or
No, we
whatever the
cannot.
file name.
No, we can. See, if you are, as we are creating inside a folder, so we have to follow this structure. If you directly want to create in a root here, so just give this much.
Okay, so it will go ahead and create it in this, is it? The Java
See
batch
here now.
file.
You can see here, now it is created here.
Okay, it is going
Directly
into,
into the project.
all right, okay. Yeah, got it. So
So
we need
our goal
to,
is to create inside this.
okay, so that's why we are giving it into test data file dot separator. So it will go ahead and
Right.
create into that.
Correct.
Okay, it's just like that star, find it under the directory in this particular folder you have to create.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, got it, Arvind sir. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will see how do we read from it. Just a minute. Yeah. So now to read, again, we need the path and all. I'll just pick this line from this. I can avoid rewriting it. So let me go to main method. So in this main method, so I will write this. So here I am going to read from the file. To read, as I told, we need to use either file input stream or buffered reader. So I will use file buffered reader. So buffer, just I'll write buffered reader. Okay. And then I need to read. So before this, I need a file reader class. I need to create an object of file reader, and read is equal to new file reader. So in this file reader, I need to pass the path and I have to put the exception. And then I need to bf is equal to new buffered reader. Okay. And then I will be passing the reader here. So this is how you have to write. Okay. So directly I cannot use the path in the buffer reader. Buffer reader cannot take that. So it has to come through the file reader class. Some path has to be given a file reader, and that file reader object I need to pass it to the buffer reader. So now I can read the file. So to optimize, this is one way. So another way what we can think of is, so we can also write in a one single line. So instead of writing the object in a previous class, we can also write like this new file path. Though this is also another way, and this is also another way. So now after writing this, now I will write system.out.println bf dot read line. So read line is a method from the buffered reader. So I have to give the exception again. Okay. So IO exception is a super class for all these exceptions in the file input output. So if you have that, so it will handle all type of exceptions. So now you see if I run this, so it will read a first value. So what is the first value? It is giving null. Why it giving null? Because we are trying to read from the student one. Student one doesn't have any value. So we need to change the path to students. Saloni. See, Saloni is the name. It is reading from the student. Okay. So now how do we read all the values? There are 10 values, right? So 9 values. How do you read the 9 values? Anybody can suggest an idea? How do you, if you want to, you already
Use
know
a
now how to
for loop,
manage.
sir. Use a for
Okay.
loop.
Okay, cool. Can you give it a try?
Yeah, you can take an this is a string, right?
Hmm.
So you can give int I equal to 0
Okay.
for int I equal to 0,
Huh?
int I less than or equal to uh, the value is length.
9. Length is not there here. So there is no method to read a count from the file. So we have to count, manually give the count here 9. Okay. So 9 and then I plus plus, and then I will be writing system dot println. Then I'll write off read line. So if you run this now, so it will read all the line.
Okay, if we are not certain about the value, then what we'll do, sir? Like, if there are multiple.
Ah. So now we will that for that we'll go for the while loop.
Arvind, sir, your voice is breaking.
Okay, why we have to use while loop in that case. Hello,
Arvind, sir,
test
I
my
can hear
voice.
you.
Is it?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is we have to use a while loop.
Okay, if we are uncertain about the data, then we'll be using while loop, right?
Right.
Okay. So instead of this, we can give while loop only, right?
We can do while loop also. This I'm showing you. So there are
Okay.
multiple options, right? So you need to know because in interview they'll cross question you. So good to know.
Mhm. So if we write it in while loop, we should write while int I equal to 0.
No, while loop, if you're writing, the logic will change. I'll show you.
Okay.
S-
Yeah,
Those
somebody is
null
asking.
values are those null values at the bottom are because it should be 8, is it? I less than or
Ah,
equal to.
less than or equal to, wait, let me see the file total. It is 9 only. Why it is giving null? Okay, it started from 0. It should be 1 because you see here data starts from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see here?
Yes,
That
sir. Yeah.
now it will be proper.
So when you define while loop, it will
Then,
be I not equal to null, is it?
in while, correct.
Mm.
Right, you're right. So now let me show you how to use a while loop to do that. Using while. So in this case, how do we achieve? So in this case, we are going to till here remain same. So we are going to modify some things. So we are going to write one string, and I'll just give some variable as x. Any variable you can give, and I'll just store null, no value. Here I use a while loop. Okay, while we'll be using x. So x is equal to, okay, bf dot read line. So read line is a method which reads the line. So we are storing in the x variable till when it has to read, till x returns null, not equals to null. So not equals to null. Till then you just read.
Equal to null, right, sir? Not equal to null. It
uh,
should be equal to null, right? Arvind, sir, we lost you.
yeah,
Hello.
1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Okay, now we will see till it is not null, it will be read and then it will come out. Okay. So wait 1 second. There is an issue with the bracket. Okay. So now we will write system dot out dot println and I'll write X. Okay, I'll put X here. Okay. So once I put X now, it will run this. So if I run now, so it will automatically read all the values. So now if I add a new value, for example, Advik, added one more value now. Okay. So still this will read all the values. So it will not trouble you. You don't need to modify the code. Can you see that? Got it? Got it,
Yes, sir.
guys?
Yeah, I think in this kind of scenarios where data is unknown, and if it
Ah,
is huge, we should use
ah.
while loop.
Actually, data is yeah. While loop is used where you don't know the iteration. How many times you need to loop it? You don't know. Then we are going to use a while loop.
All right.
When you know the iteration, then you have to go for loop. Clear, guys? Any? Okay. So next question is next topic. So we got to know about reading the text file. So generally we use this to keep some unorganized data. So here we cannot, for example, you want to extract a particular data. I want to only get Nikita or Syed or Saloni. These kind of things are little tricky. Okay. So still you can try it. Now I'll give a hint as an assignment. What you guys need to do is, so you need to check whether in this string, you can put your name and you, for example, I want to check whether in this string Arvind is present or not. If it is present, it should say Arvind is present, else not present. Okay. So like that, you need to loop it and write a condition. Okay. That is an assignment for you guys. Okay. Once we learn Selenium, what we'll do is we will be reading the links, URLs from the website, and we have to write it to the file. So that kind of assignments I'll give you. So how do we write to the file? So for that, we are going to use buffered writer. So let us see how to write to the file. So I'll just show you. In rare occasions, we use this. Write to text file. Okay. So let us see how do we write it. So again, I can write to the same file or else I'll write to the new file also. So now when you're writing, this buffered writer will not work. Reader will not work. So we have to modify this to buffered writer. So W writer, writer, buffered writer. Okay. And then I should give the buffer writer and this will be the file writer. File writer. Okay. And now I will be instead of read. So I'll just change to logic now here. So if I want to write, I'll be using bf dot write. Okay. So here I'll be giving hello, something, whatever you want, you can try hello world. Okay. So now if I run this, will it write? So let us see what happens now. We wrote, there is no error, but it has not written here. Why it is not written? Because we had written a code to write, but we have not written a code to store, save it, right? So so bf dot, okay, you have to use flush. Okay, if you run this, flush and close is required, I guess. Let me see. If I run this time, see, hello world is there. Got it? It has written into the file. So any questions, guys? So how do you write? For example, you have 10 names. How do you write the 10 names into the file? So that is again one more assignment for you guys. Using the array, you can store and you can write to the file. Okay. So any questions? Okay, guys, clear, right?
Yes, Sarvan, sir.
Okay. So now this is how we write to the file. So similarly, we will learn how do we read a property file. What that is very important. Okay. So we keep all our everything in the properties file. So now property file is very useful. So we store the data in a very organized way. So generally we use the like we use this for storing our URLs, configuration, everything we are going to store in the properties file. So now let us see how do we do that. So again, I will keep the test data folder. This is very important. So now I'll just give a name as config properties. Dot properties is a extension like dot text visa, right? That's a dot properties. It's a extension. So here we have to store the values in the data in a key and value pair. K is equal to value. Is equal to value. Okay, like this we are going to store. So for example, you want to store URL. URL is what? For example, https://www.google.com. Okay, then name, for example, I want to search something. So search result. Automation jobs, like this we can try. So these are the key and value pair. So left hand is key, right hand is value. Okay. So we can retrieve by the key. If you give the key, you will get the value. So this is very useful. We use it in mobile automation, web automation, API automation. This is very common. You need to know this. Okay. So we'll learn how to read this. So for this, I will create one new file. I'll call this as read from properties. So how do we read? Again, we need a path. So we already have the path from here. So copy this path. So file name should be the config.properties. Okay, config.properties. This is a file extension. Okay, and next I need to give the path. So to read again, we need to use a file buffered reader. Sorry, just buffered reader. Okay. Otherwise, I will show you this time with the file input stream. Buffer reader I have already shown. We can also use file input stream. Okay, small data we can easily read with this. So I'll just give as FIS short form is a reference, and I've given a file input stream. In the file input stream, I need to provide the path. I have to add the exception, and then I will write FIS dot read. Okay, sorry, I don't need to read. First, I'll use a class called properties. So prop properties. Okay, prop is equal to new properties. Okay, and here I will write prop dot. Okay, prop dot. I need to get proper load actually. First, I need to load. So when I use a load, so I have to pass the file here. So this is a step. So when you use a load method, right, it will load all the values into the properties class. So now this prop will have all the access from that file. So how do we get it now? So we get it prop dot get property. So get property, and I'll just give the key. What is the key? URL is a key. So if I give URL, so it will return me a string. I will store it in a string as some value is equal to this, and write system dot out dot println value. If you run this now, so you will get URL. Got it? So like this, we can create. So today we learn. So every time we don't need to write this, right? For example, tomorrow I want to get it from other URLs, right? Other key value. So I will show you how to read the how to read a different value in a method. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so now let us learn how do we create a method to read and write. Again and again, we don't need to write this logic, right? For example, I want to get another value, so I need to repeat the steps. So what we'll do generally in real time, we will have a class where we keep all the reusable method. And any name you can give, I will just give as a generic. Okay, I'll create a class called generic. So public, static, okay, void, and I will write as get value. I'll create a method as get value. So this method will help us in doing the things better now. So we don't need to write the code again and again. Instead, we are going to call this wherever we want. So first what we need to give the key. So key is what? String key. Okay. You need to pass this key and you will get the value. So now again, see there are exceptions, right? So what we can do, we will put this into a try block. So try, put this into a catch. Okay, exception E, and then E dot print stack trace. So now we will learn a new concept called return. So what we are going to do now, so we get the value from this method and we are storing in a value. So, but we need to return to the class next method. So for wherever we need to supply that data. So for that, what we'll do, we are going to return this value. Whatever the value you get, we have to return it. So I'll write return value. But see what is happening here. So I'm getting an error. So why? Because this value is initialized inside the try block. So that means it is a local variable. So it cannot be accessed outside the try block. So it is good to create outside the try block. Okay. And just initialize with some value like null. Okay. Null. And then we can, that null will be replaced with the actual value what we are getting, and then we are going to return. So when you return, why I'm getting an error? Void means we are not returning, but now we are explicitly writing we are returning. So then you have to mention the type of what type you are returning, string type. So replace that with string. So now this is one reusable method. Okay, henceforth we are going to create a lot of reusable methods for different purpose. So this is one method which will help us in getting the value. So let me show you how we can read from the properties file. So what I'll do now, so instead of writing this big line, I can just write here system dot out dot println, okay, generic dot, okay, dot get value, and I'll just take key. Key is what? URL. So I'll just pass the URL. That's it. So it will get me the value as gmail.com. Okay, so what is another key I have? I have another key as search. So I want to use this search. So what I can do here? So I can write system.out.println get value, and inside that write the search. Okay, so run this. So you will get the automation jobs. Okay, so like this, we get the output. In the next class, we'll see how we can use this in real time, how we are going to use and supply this in a Selenium. Okay, guys, any questions on this? See, this is the use of reusable methods. So again and again, we don't need to write these many lines, right? So just call the method, it will serve your purpose. So when we learn advanced concepts, right, everything will be like this into a piece of method. So we learn how to reuse it later. Okay, any questions, doubts? Any questions, guys? Afzal, Mahesh, Nilima, Prasad, Rohit, Saroj, Spandana, Sarvan.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. So tomorrow, guys, we will learn about the concept how we apply with the Selenium. Okay. So and then we will see other topics like reading from Excel, and then we are going to learn about the Faker library and the collections tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow we'll have a longer session and we'll cover all these topics tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to complete the Java part. So from next we will start with the this one. Okay. How many are available on weekend, guys? This weekend? Evening?
So this weekend I not possible.
Okay. Okay. Fine then. Okay. We will not even on Saturday, Sunday, either one day.
For me is not this weekend is not available, sir.
Okay. Afzal, how about you, Afzal?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
This
I
weekend.
can. Yeah. You want to do it on Saturday or Sunday?
Thinking one day I will plan so that I can cover the test NG part in one go. That's the reason.
In the evening, right?
Evening only, late evening only, same time.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
you guys can practice on that. So I can give some assignments and I'll give some break, 2-3 days break, so that you need to apply that also. Na? That is my intention. And then we will review that assignments.
Okay.
Okay. Rohit, can you manage on this weekend? Many chance one day?
Sir, I'm outside, sir. Now I'm trying to attend the classes.
I
Present
understand.
I'm
That's
outside. Yeah,
you're
that is the
disconnected. Na?
problem. That is the problem.
I'll do one thing, Rohit. I'll take the class. I'll share the recording with you. Okay. Watch it. If you have any questions, we can connect and we can discuss that.
It's okay, sir.
Okay. That we will do. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll try to cover tomorrow rest of the topics, guys. Okay. I'm going to push the code and I'll send you the recording in a while, guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night, guys.